I'm always gonna lift you up. I'm always gonna fill your cup. I'm always gonna be there for you. I'll always show support. I'll always open your door. I'll always make time for you.
Where are you from?
Always, always, always.
Tell us where you're from. And
I'll always make you laugh.
Take a seat.
I'll always check your math. I'll always look out for you. I'm always gonna take the heat. I'm always gonna sit your seat. I'm always gonna keep it real with you. Always, always, always for you.
It's great seeing everybody tonight.
Welcome to our Thursday Night Live.
And doesn't she look amazing always?
We're so sweet and kind.
You are
sure
amazing.
Love you, honey.
So it's so great to have everybody here from all over the world. Look at all these places, Karen. Can you believe it?
It's incredible. Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us.
Yeah, we sure do appreciate each and every one of you for being here. And our mods, we're so grateful for each of you. We have, just Miss Sophia's in there, and others are showing up. And, we've been going 100 miles an hour, as you can imagine, Karen and I. And this is tonight. We are going to cover part 2 of our trip to Tucson. We spent, as you know, last 7 days, last week, actually, the whole week in Tucson. We were kind of under the covers, for lack of a better term. Nobody knew we were there, and we just kind of showed up. And
it's a better way to gather information and then come back and report back to you guys.
And we did our thing. And so tonight we're going to, talk about a whole bunch of things. And for those of you who are brand new to our channel, I'm Chris. This is the brains of the operation, Karen. I'm a retired homicide detective, still working with the Cold Case Foundation, working active homicide cases around the country. And Karen is an investigative journalist. And so tonight we're going to cover a whole bunch of stuff. And what we just kind of recap what we did last week, or actually a couple of nights ago, if you weren't here, is, well, let me ask you, sweetheart, what was the biggest thing that jumped out for you, from your experience and your thought process as we were driving away and we were talking in the car about what we just experienced?
I think the biggest, most surprising thing to me in coming into Tucson, driving around, talking with so many different people, I was really, really surprised that you really wouldn't know that Nancy Guthrie was a woman, 84-year-old woman from Tucson who was still missing, because we just didn't see any evidence of that in the community, with one we'll call it 1.5 exceptions. We didn't see any flyers posted around the city of Nancy or of Porch Guy. We didn't see any billboards. We were told there was one billboard on a major freeway.
On the 10.
But you know what?
We didn't
We
see
came
it.
into town and we left town and we were all over town and we never saw it.
Yeah.
So not everybody would see it. You know, I was shocked. All the places we went, public spaces,
People we talked to.
there wasn't anything about Nancy Guthrie still being missing in this community. And of course, driving by Nancy's house, the memorial that everybody saw in the news for months is completely gone.
Yeah.
Now, with one exception, there is still that banner that says "Bring Nancy Home" at one of the local TV stations outside of the TV station. But you know what? That's not even in a highly trafficked area. You have to go drive by it if you're looking for it. So again, just, you know, Chris, the biggest surprise, the biggest shocking thing was that there doesn't seem to be anybody looking for Nancy or the perpetrator that we call Porch Guy.
Yeah, and the other thing that was really weird for me was, you know, we were watching a lot of the streamers, local streamers down there, and, you know, shout out to all of you guys, you know, Tucson 857, AJ, Alex, I mean, JLR, they were all down there at various times doing their thing. But what was really interesting is to learn about the dynamics of not only the community, but just how they had been pushed out of Nancy's neighborhood. And it almost sounded like it was like an intentional effort to do that. Now, I cannot, you know, on this program tonight, hang on. Whoa, sorry about that. I can't on this program tonight say definitively that there was an organized effort just to kind of stamp down, you know, the media. Excuse me, I swallowed that water just before we started.
Are you having a coughing attack? All right. Well, while he's coughing and recovering, yeah, Chris was saying what I was saying, that, you know, we wanted to check this out ourselves. Of course, we saw what everybody has seen on YouTube over the past many months. And again, there was, even if you went looking like we did, it was just so odd. And it was so surprising that there wasn't more forward facing anything about Nancy and the case.
Yeah. So the more we didn't see, the more I was curious as to why we're not seeing it. And of course, that led us into, you know, the areas of asking questions about, you know, the criminality. Where are the folks hanging out? We had dinners with folks. We had our own sources that we tapped into, and that's kind of one of the benefits of being, you know, in this business since 1982. You know, we used to do a lot of work with Phoenix PD, believe it or not, you know, because our crooks would leave Southern California and just hit the 8 or the 10, and they're right downtown into Phoenix. So I came to know a lot of people over my time, as well as, you know, we used to live up in the mountain in the Arizona area, in, you know, Sholo area. Those of you who know that area, we lived up there for almost 2.5 years early on, many years ago. But that said, we had a lot of contacts. And so we reached out to those individuals. We talked about it. And one of the striking things that was a very consistent theme was even that Circle K store, which is, you know, less than a half mile from one of the family homes, there wasn't even a flyer. And if you didn't ask somebody about the Nancy Guthrie case, I don't think anybody would have known.
Well, the people that we did talk to, and they were a wide variety of people, it was really interesting because some had heard of the case, some hadn't heard of the case, and the ones that had heard of the case, when you would talk with them and ask them a couple more questions, they too were scratching their heads going, yeah, why are there no flyers? Why is our community not talking about it? And certainly on the local TV news, it's few and far between when they're going to watch an interview with the sheriff about the case.
Exactly. And it seems like there was just this containment of the flow of information in relationship to Nancy Guthrie. So that piqued our curiosity. If you ever want to pique an investigative journalist's curiosity, I mean, those of you who don't know Karen, I'm just going to give you a 30-second braggadocious, piece of understanding who my sweetheart is.
And my background.
And your background.
My professional
her
background.
professional background. And, one of the things that folks have asked us, how did you guys meet and all this other stuff? Well, Karen was a professional journalist. I mean, she has a degree, a BA in journalism.
That's right.
She went to school for it. You can see, in this particular slide here real fast, I'm just going to give you a heavy duty, quick 30,000 foot overview. And I don't think the Pima County Sheriff's Office quite understands this piece of our dynamic. Okay? I come from a homicide background. My wife is a journalist. These are some of the awards, just some of the awards. She started out at
the Los Angeles Times.
So
in their boot camp.
In their boot camp, the LA Times in Southern California. She's been a public information officer. You see that on the left. She's got all kinds of certificates of training from DOJ, all kinds of stuff. She has gone and covered stories internationally from Cuba, which is this one on the left, to Gaza, and she's met with world leaders, and that's her sitting right behind Netanyahu in the Middle East. She has been around the world, and she's an award-winning journalist. The top picture up there is also in Cuba. This is at the wall in Gaza, just outside of Gaza in the Middle East. This is the same wall on October 7th that they breached when they attacked the area.
And this was a few years before that.
Yeah. And so my wife, we don't talk about this a lot, but she's nothing to underestimate. Trust me. This is her flying a blimp. This is her in DC. She's been doing this for 35 years plus now.
Yeah, we don't fall in the streamers category,
right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But we're also not with a network either.
Yeah.
So.
And so she ended up at the doorstep of Sheriff Chris Nanos. I'll call him No Nads tonight. And I don't think he understands that this gal has been here, and now here and here. Okay. And you have to respect a journalist. You just don't think because they have a YouTube channel that they're not in the profession. Okay. And I think he hasn't quite wrapped his mind around that yet, because tonight Karen's going to report on a lot of information that we're learning and that we have learned, okay, about what's going on there at not only the sheriff's department, but just in general with this investigation. And our question was, how do we go from this picture on the left to the picture on the right? And is there really something going on in the Nancy Guthrie case that has kind of made her almost invisible? Would that be a correct?
Yeah, it really is. It really is. We are just left scratching our heads. Why? Why? How? If this case is not cold, if they're still investigating it, and the sheriff has repeatedly said he believes the suspect or suspects are local, then why not get out there with Porch Guy's photo, with Nancy's photo, remind people of the reward that's out there, give them the tip line to call in. it's baffling to us.
So tonight, Karen wants to cover a lot of the information that, she has been exploring, and also how she's been treated, and other journalists that have approached this situation, and how the department, what they're doing, what they're saying, but more importantly, what they're not saying, but what they're doing. And how does that fall into where you want to go here tonight, Hum?
I mean, you can just kind of keep rolling through this. Look, we're not whining over here and saying we deserve special treatment from the sheriff's department. No, we get it. This is a major high-profile homicide investigation going on. We're just saying that we're asking a lot of obvious questions and things that, I guess Chris and I did a lot of assuming until we got there. And I think a lot of people in talking to people, have done a lot of assuming. When you go there, you do not realize that there's nothing literally to remind people this case is going on. People think the Pima County Sheriff's Department has pounded the pavement all over town and back. It just, a lot of this hasn't happened. And, we're going to talk more about this. It goes to the leadership. It points to the leadership going on there, not the rank and file, and not the deputies who are unfortunately under the thumb of Sheriff Nanos and, don't have a choice in how he is taking the investigation.
Yeah. And one of the things that we want to, again, reiterate, that the top sheriff there, i.e. Nanos, that guy had 37 suspensions.
Of his own.
He lied about it, and they still hired him. He's being sued. He's been sued multiple times. The FBI, Department of Justice, had come in. His number 2 was also fired and released from the department.
And then came back with a different last name. Remember that?
He scammed his way back into the agency by utilizing a different name, if we can believe that, but it's true. All right. And we didn't have any knowledge of this until Karen had done, the homework. And, she comes to me on many occasions and says, "You're not going to believe this." And with her, I know, okay, she's got a flamethrower, so I better throw a suit on here, because it's going to get hot pretty quick. And, when she found out about Nanos, I thought, oh, wow, that's crazy. But then she discovered number 2, and I thought, this can't be happening.
Yeah, and a lot of the media has covered it, and I think a lot of us know that that's in the background.
Yeah. And
it's information that we have to keep in mind when we are wondering why there's no new information being released, or when he decides to do allegedly unlawful arrests of people, or his PIO office, which stands for Public Information Office, which means all their job is to release information to the public, whether it's via the media, a streamer, a journalist, whoever. When they're not doing their job, this is all part and parcel of what we got with Sheriff Nanos.
Yeah. And if the sheriff hasn't noticed lately, a lot of mainstream media personalities all have YouTube pages.
Channels.
Yeah. Okay. That's a hint. Okay. That's a hint that don't underestimate, these professionals. They know what they're doing, and they're going to dig up information, whether they like it or whether you like it or not, unfortunately.
And then we're going to ask questions of your office, and we expect timely, honest answers. That's it. And if you can't tell us, then tell us why. But to be, ignored and just given the BS really is totally unprofessional. And, we're going to call it out.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons you never ignore somebody that does this for a living. She still writes freelance articles and this other stuff around, for magazines, etc. And she's an independent journalist. I mean, literally credentialed. Okay, so that said, where do you? Let's go with your what you have there in your talking points in your notes tonight, and keep me on the straight line here, and we'll go over what you've discovered.
Okay. Well, let's talk about how I wanted to reach out to Nancy's church ladies, Nancy's friends, wanting to explore, get more background about Nancy, what was going on that Sunday when she didn't show up to watch church with her friends.
Which, by the way, we were successful. You were successful in contacting them. So, and speaking with, we're not going to name names, but you had phone conversations. So this is the
Right.
first anybody's heard of this. And so,
well, let me just remind everybody, we reported on this. I don't know how widely reported this was, but back in the early days of the investigation, the New York Times had a piece and they interviewed 3 or 4 of Nancy's friends. And I'm just going to give you a quick background. In that article, it talked about Nancy celebrating her birthday the Tuesday before she went missing. She turned 84. That Friday, she spent the day, or part of the day, with friends at her home, and they were playing mahjong. By the way, if you don't know what mahjong is, I'm going to tell you. It is a tile game, a tabletop game. It started back in China, 19th century. There's many, many different versions of this, but it's usually played with 4 players who receive and discard and exchange tiles. And the goal is to be the first to collect 14 tiles of a certain combination. Mahjong is fast-paced and requires skill and a bit of luck. It's similar to the card game Rummy, or Rummy Cube. Chris.
any Mahjong players in the chat?
Yeah, feel free to chime in.
You
for
guys
chat.
are the pros. Go ahead.
I told Chris it sounds like it was a fun activity for her to spend time with girlfriends and keep her mind sharp.
And it sounded like she was like all the time, just the churchies just doing it, right?
Yeah, I think they played regularly. And
Okay.
yeah, okay. So anyway, that Friday, stay with me, everybody. Before the friends left, Nancy asked one of her friends, "Are we still on for Sunday?" That Sunday, February 1st. And so the women would gather. This was a standing get together on Sunday mornings, where they would watch the replay of the church service from New York City that Savannah attended earlier that morning. Okay. So everybody knows that. And then, of course, on February 1st, when Nancy did not show up at her girlfriend's house,
The girlfriends called.
Well, first they texted Nancy, then they called her, still no response. And then they contacted Annie, Nancy's daughter. Okay. And the rest, everybody knows. So, also, by the way, I want to throw this in. In that article, in that newspaper article, it said that Nancy insisted on walking to the end of her gravel driveway to get her mail on that Friday. That would have been January 30th. And she needed the help of her girlfriend, meaning like, taking her arm or to walk down the driveway.
Right.
So I thought that piece jumped out at me too. I thought that was really interesting. It obviously shows her struggle with mobility.
Yep.
Potentially balance issues and whatnot.
Yeah.
What did you make of that?
And remember, everybody, the sheriff had said, I think it was either the next, I don't remember if it was the first or the second press conference, where he said this lady is as sharp as a tack. She has some mobility issues. And the conversation about going out to the mailbox had come up a couple of times. Well, it was apparently she couldn't make it down to the curb. And now you remember, everybody, where that is in relationship to her front door to the mailbox. But the significant piece in that is she came through the front door. Okay? She came out of her house to the front door, and her girlfriend helped her helped her down the steps, down the gravel to the mailbox. She gets her mail, and then she's escorted back. So we wanted to press on that a little bit. If we could get to that place during Karen's conversation. Go ahead.
So, all right. So that's just kind of the background. As I was talking with Nancy's friend, I really sensed a reluctance.
Right away.
Right away. Right away.
And how did that strike you, in your experience?
I was really surprised. I was very surprised. Look, we are 145 plus days into this investigation. There have been no arrests. To the public, very little movement, especially if you're in Tucson or anywhere. And so I would think, well, at least her friends would want to talk about Nancy, not about the investigation, but about Nancy, to keep her name out there. And there was a reluctance. There was
Pushback.
Big time pushback. So again, that really surprised me. And Chris, it kind of brought up a question of like, was she asked not to talk about this?
Yeah. So
what do you think?
Here's Karen on the phone, talking to this lady, and the impression, because I was listening, the impression that I'm getting is why does she not want to tell us in terms of anything about Nancy's like personal life, what time she called, what time they got over there, what did Annie say, what did Nancy say, when they left. And so it was kind of like this real weird interaction, as if no friends anywhere wanted to talk anymore about Nancy. And Karen finally got to a place where towards the end of the conversation, where she hung up on you.
She did.
She hung up on Karen. Okay. But just before all of that, just kind of read, just kind of read what that verbiage was, towards the end of how this whole thing went.
Yeah. It was kind of a strange mix of reluctance. I don't want to talk about her. But she also said that I appreciate you reaching out. And she said, I'm glad you have a heart for keeping it in the public eye.
This is a quote.
That was a quote. And I was saying, yes, I need your help. We need your help. We need you to continue to talk about her. And
can you give me more color, basically?
Yeah. And so it was, again, it kind of goes back to the theme of tonight's show is it's almost like Nancy has vanished. Not just physically vanished, but ghosted from Tucson. People are not talking about her. There's no physical reminders of her in that community. And again, it just left us scratching our head going, well, how are they going to solve this investigation? If you don't have flyers out, if you're not reminding people of the reward, if you're not pressing to have the 1-800-CALL-FBI phone number for tips, how are they going to solve this case?
Yeah. And so here we are, on the phone with the church, one of the church ladies who was, one of the RPs, the reporting parties. And you got this sense of they don't care. Or they do care, but somebody's told them, do not say another word to anybody ever. Just keep it under your hat. Because one of the statements, what did she say towards the end where she says, we appreciate your heart, yada, yada.
She says, I'm glad that you have a heart for keeping Nancy's story in the public eye.
And then she says, no, I don't want to talk anymore. What does she say? I've had my
last interview about Nancy. And I was saying,
wait, who says that?
wait, why?
Yeah. Why is that even a thing? You know, even a thing. My phone's going crazy over here, so hang on for a minute. I got to turn it off. Sorry. But finish your thought, hon.
Anyway, I did find all this to be really strange. And again, common sense would have you think, look, this is their dear friend. This is happening in their community. Why would you not want to just do a very small part, participate in, a story to help keep her name out there? And it goes again to this larger point of what we're talking about tonight, where why is this community why is Nancy not visible in this community as far as being a missing person and an unsolved case?
Yeah. So Karen is, trying to be an advocate for Nancy, speaking to her girlfriend, who was also an advocate for her on the very first day she, went missing. And next thing you know, this is how she leaves the conversation. No, I don't want to talk. I've had my last interview about Nancy. And we're like, well, first of all, you haven't talked to anybody other than the New York Times, and now you're talking to us. It's like, how many interviews have you done in between outside of maybe the law enforcement agencies? But then she goes, but I'm glad that you have a heart keeping it, not her, keeping it in the public eye.
Good catch.
And then so Karen's like, okay, well, that's fine. Can I call you back? And she hung up. And we were like, okay, let's get this right. You've just been talking to her for a couple of minutes, probably 3, 4, 5 minutes, whatever it was. You're trying to get the flavor of her. You're talking about Nancy, and then something shifted in the conversation. And that was when Karen started pressing, well, can you give me a little more insight on, her family life, her next thing you know it, man, it was if you had just dropped, I don't know, what's a good description?
I don't know. I don't know where you're going on that, but it shifted. And again, there was this huge reluctance. And it leaves us just asking the question of why.
Yeah.
And it's not one person or one aspect. It's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And so we started asking more questions post that. And you also called her other 2 girlfriends, left a lot of messages. They have not called you back on those pieces of the puzzle. And so it was almost as if, okay, something's going on here. Something bigger is going on here. Because you can't even get the friends to talk about Nancy Guthrie. You have one spokesperson in a family talking about her mom. We're still searching, we're doing this. And so we went there to validate it. It's like, okay, we're hearing this on the national news. You've got a sheriff who is talking primarily to one NBC news station, KVOA. Okay? He kind of dodges around different things. And so we started asking him questions about things we were learning and some of the directed patrols about how the sheriff has dismantled those in and around Pima County, and read some of the emails, hon, on the Curly Shuffle from Nanos.
Well, the thing there's another piece of this that I'm going to point out.
Okay, go ahead.
You don't, at least, the rest of us, there's no direct line to the sheriff. You go through their PIO, Public Information Office, and there is a professional. His name is Kevin Adger, and he's in charge of the PIO office. And even asking basic questions, they are not forthcoming. They stall. And he won't even talk. He won't even answer a question. Everything gets put through to Sheriff Nanos, and you get some canned, sometimes nonsensical answers to basic questions. And again, this guy's whole job is to provide public information so the public has knowledge. And it's a runaround. Now, again, we're not sitting here whining about it. It's part and parcel of the whole way, everything we've seen with Sheriff Nanos in this investigation. You guys have seen his press conferences, disasters. It's not the rank and file. It's the leadership. The problem is with Sheriff Nanos. He's not even letting his public information office team do their job. I know that. I was a public information officer. I was a civilian hired. I wasn't a sworn law enforcement officer. I worked directly for a police chief, and I did so for a number of years. And you know what? You always had to be ready for the media to either show up with a, broadcast news with a camera or radio or print or whoever, and you always responded. It's not good enough to not respond and to ignore. And so in my opinion, this is highly unprofessional, trying to get any answers out of the sheriff's department. We're not surprised, and we're not even frustrated by it, but we're going to start reporting a lot more of this to you guys. Again, this is stuff kind of in the weeds, but it's part and parcel of what we're seeing with this investigation.
Yeah. And so, as we continue to follow the bouncing ball here, we had a couple of questions, about, obviously, because we had met with some of our folks down there, and we were like, okay, well, has anybody gone out and see if there's other connections with the other women? Not only Nancy, but Annie, and just Nancy as a whole, and Savannah. I mean, the way my brain works is, if one of the other family members was selected as the target, well, then we wanted to find out, okay, well, where could that contact point be? And I pointed this out on Ashley Bamfield today, where we talked about a little bit about that. And if you want to see that video, go over to Drop Dead Seriously, because what we were learning is you don't have any of the friends wanting to talk about her. You don't have any of the family wanting to talk about her, at least they're in Tucson. You don't have any of the law enforcement agency wanted to talk about her. Well, then how can you do a pattern of life, and how can you find out what the suspect was seeing? Okay? If nobody around other than just a couple of, sound bites from a podium where the sheriff is, well, then how can anybody, including the media, do their job to try to put the word out to the community that there's an 84-year-old woman out there and she's no longer in the house. She's out into the community somewhere. Well, that's where you have to go now. And what's kind of cool is you now have, believe it or not, YouTube streamers out in these parks. They've created their own flyers. They're out there, kicking the dirt up. And they're asking a lot of the people out there where you would kind of find this porch guy by now. Okay? And to our surprise, none of that had been done by law enforcement. And we're 5 months into this. Okay? And that, to me, made no sense. It's like, wait a minute. Do they just want her to go away? I didn't understand it. Actually visually seeing it, feeling it, smelling it, tasting it. And that is the impression that I got as I was there. And then we started talking to our sources. Hey, how much progress are you making? Hey, it's a crapshoot right now. And I'm being straight up with the public here. Okay, we're hearing, they're getting close. I don't know,
it's
man.
Not what our sources have been.
I don't know about that.
Sharing.
Okay. I'm saying that they have a lot more work to do. And yet you see, streamers in the parks And I saw one guy today, his name is Nick, was in a park in the same park that I went to last week. And he had printed up the flyers of Porch Guy, and he was passing out cigarettes, passing out water, and only do it during the day, by the way, guys. Don't do it at night. Let the police do that. You can prime the pump during the day, but do not go there in the evening. Be very safe, okay? Because you could actually run across Porch Guy, without even knowing it. Basically, one of the guys I heard in this conversation was, "Oh, I've seen that backpack, and I think I know that dude." And then he went quiet. Okay. Well, that's priming the pump, and this is where law enforcement can come in right behind that and say, "Hey, I saw you on YouTube, yada yada. What's the deal here? Over." Or that guy may call for $1 million. These are the kind of things that get the word on the street. The word on the street. And the other day, there was another guy. His name is AJ. He was the first guy out there, and now it's circled around where some of the folks are saying, "Oh yeah, I saw that flyer, okay," or "I've heard about that woman now." There was even one guy who said, "Yeah, it's not $1 million, it's 1.2 million."
But the obvious question is why are police not doing this? That is their job.
Right.
It's part of their the investigation. Why are streamers having to take flyers down to this criminal area of town?
Yeah, the same folks that Nanos kicked out of the neighborhood around Nancy Guthrie's house. That said, now, what does this mean in the big picture? So we started asking the question, tell us about your direct patrol teams in Tucson, in Pima County, and how does that correlate to the Bravo teams, which is essentially it's an equivalent with a bigger, title. Okay, Bravo
for Tucson PD,
and
separate jurisdiction.
So Karen asked, okay, I want to know more about this. So she goes down there. She goes down to the sheriff lobby. And again, you never want to underestimate this girl because she is like, "Hey, wait a minute. How do we go from this to this?" Okay. How does a community go, and law enforcement even, go from this, again, just to drive it home, to this? Okay. Where is the bouncing ball and what is missing here that a community has gone away from that? So she not only sends this email, and this email says, "Good morning, Sergeant Wilson. We're working on a story about Tucson PD Bravo teams, specifically the one or ones that work the Estevan Park area. Has the Pima County Sheriff's Department reached out to your Bravo team for their assistance," which is basically, what's it called? Direct Patrol, DP, which was the equivalent to Bravo in Tucson. Bravo team for their assistance in working the Estevan Park area for the Nancy Guthrie investigation. Thank you. Looking forward to hearing from you. Okay. And so she gets a response back from Tucson that says, "Good morning. They've not asked us for any help regarding this. Excuse me." And you can see it right in front of you. Tucson Police Department. So basically, Pima County Sheriff's Department simplistically has not gone to the streets looking for Porch Guy. And from what we can tell, they have not turned the dogs loose on the streets to try to identify who this suspect is. Okay? It's right in front of you. Well, that wasn't good enough. So Karen went down to talk to the public information officer and get an appointment with Nanos. Tell them
We've
about
been
that.
asking for an interview with Nanos for months. We've been turned down every time. And when we were there in Tucson, even before we went, I had asked again through the PIO office, we were requesting an interview. Okay, so we get turned down. I go down there and I thought, well, all right, I'll talk with the PIO because that is part of his or her duties to speak with the media. And I got down there and I was told he wasn't even in the office. There was nobody else who could speak with me. They weren't talking about this case. And I said, well, what if I'm here talking about another case? I want information on another case. They said, nope, we're not going to talk to you about anything. And that's, I mean, talk about unprofessional. Okay. So look, they want this case to go away. They don't want the media covering it. They don't want anybody on YouTube covering it. They're going to try to control what they can control. So
big mistake.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's sad. You know what? It's sad for the community in Pima County. They are not being served by their elected official, the Sheriff Nanos, and they aren't getting the public information that they deserve. You know, it's a First Amendment right to know what your government agency is doing. And instead of having 500,000 residents show up at the sheriff's department, that's the whole point of the media, to disseminate to the public what's going on. And of course, journalism, they are not holding these government officials accountable. A few are, but for the most part, the ones with the biggest microphones and megaphones are not doing it. And I'm talking about TV news in that area.
Right. And that is, you know, one of the things that we have to basically ask that they do what they're supposed to do. KVOA specifically, where the banner is. And it appears that Nanos gives exclusive interviews to one reporter, maybe two, and that they just basically craft the interview and he just regurgitates the conversations that he wants to have. But let me, the reason I have this up here, those of you who know Monk's Intrigue, he's an artist and he's a really good artist. Okay. Now, he just created this, you know, based on the structure of the face, the picture to the left. He's not saying this is exactly what the guy looks like or anything like this. Okay? But what he is saying is when you look at the structure around, you know, the face mask and ski mask, et cetera, okay, it could look like maybe the guy on the porch. All right. Now, it's interesting that they've had some artists as well, you know, do similar things like this. Okay? But what's happening is the sheriff is ignoring things like this to where you have people who are professionals, and Monks is a professional artist. He sells paintings, okay, and he does things. That is an artistic community there in Tucson. And just like, you know, the searching, you know, type of stuff, you want to take advantage of all the resources that you can get and put them into an advantage to help find Nancy.
Let me offer this. The FBI, obviously, that task force that's working on Nancy's case is about 5 or 6 Pima County sheriffs, investigators, and the FBI. The FBI can come up with their own artistic rendition of what they think this guy looks like peeled off with the ski mask peeled off. Okay. If they wanted to do it, they could do it. The question remains, why is Pima County the lead investigation? They're the lead on the homicide. Okay. This is their case. Why are they not? And again, I'm not asking this question. We're not critical of the rank and file and the investigators under Nanos. This really is, we're talking to the leadership. Why have flyers with porch guy in any kind of rendition, with a phone number of where to call for tips, with the information. There's a $1.2 million reward. Why is this not happening in any part of the city? Whether it's the criminal part where you want to get the information, or the really nice parts where the criminals come in and, do robberies or whatever. Why is the community not collectively speaking about this as they should? Chris, how many cases have you solved? Have investigators been able to solve with the public's help if you've got a description, if you've got a video of your suspect? Why would this not be played constantly in the media? Again, flyers circulated. Can you solve cases without this?
No. It is the public, and the more the sheriff understands that, he has to remember what we used to call feed the beast. Okay? You have to feed the beast. And if you don't feed the beast, then that leaves all kinds of open doors for speculation, for all kinds of leads. You go down these rabbit holes that don't exist. You have to take this very seriously, and you have to continue to maintain a course of public information. You just can't sit in this building here to the left side at your desk and wait for the information to come to you. It's not going to happen. You've got to get your teams, and that's why they have directed patrol teams, to get out into the community, to go over into Tucson, to meet with the Bravo teams at Tucson Police Department and say, okay, here's a flyer that we have. And by the way, here's an artist sketch that is floating around in social media somewhere. We don't know how legit that is, but it's interesting. And here's another one that we put together for law enforcement. You put it all together on one flyer, and you go out to the parks, which is happening now, and you're passing out, information saying, hey, we're looking for a guy that kidnapped potentially an 84-year-old woman, and we just want to ask you about A, B, C, and D. Does this backpack look familiar? Does this clothing look familiar? Does this rendition look familiar? And by the way, have you ever seen this type of item? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, guess what? The FBI put that out just for that reason. Just for that reason. They put out that there's a reward for Nancy. They put out the picture of the backpack. So they're not worried about the suspect knowing that the law enforcement authorities know that backpack. Okay, great. Then take advantage of that. Go out there and really do gumshoe, law enforcement work where you're kind of, hustling up things. And as one of my old partners, John, who's probably in the chat, used to say, when you start putting bracelets on people, they all of a sudden, and I'm probably hacking it up, but they all of a sudden become extremely intelligent, and they remember things. Right? And that's what they should be doing. As people are coming into the jail, getting booked, somebody should be in there saying, hey, and have that flyer up just in the booking window.
Yeah, with the $1.2 million reward.
$1.2 million
nice
reward.
And big.
And man, that will get around quickly. Okay. And if you want to see, what we used to say, you can't outrun the radio. Okay. If you want to see the suspect kind of pucker up, okay, then just think about $1.2 million and you have a fentanyl addiction and you've just been arrested with 30 fentanyl pills and you want a deal, okay? Or you've been hooked up in Hawthorne and you want a deal. And so these are the kind of things that should and be happening. But what we've discovered, is that happening, Karen?
It's not happening. And I don't even think the community knows it's not happening, because the community there in Tucson would be as outraged as the rest of the true crime community who's been following this case from all points around the world.
Right. And so read the email you sent to Pima County about, and the reason it's not up right now is because she actually just got one of the answers back, about an hour ago.
I mean, this is just runaround nonsense is what this is.
Right.
The responses I've been getting from the Pima County PIO office on something as simple and basic as tell me about your directed patrol. I know I was told how it used to be. When was the decision made to pull it all back, to dismantle it? How does it work now? These guys can't even tell me that. Why? It's ridiculous.
Right. Well, read the thread so everybody gets the context of
the runaround.
Yeah, the runaround. And the last thing you want to do, you guys remember Heaven's Gate and in San Diego, where
most of them may not.
Most people don't. Where there were how many victims were there?
It was a cult suicide, and there were like 32 or 36 victims.
Okay,
something like that. That everybody unalived themselves at the same time.
Don't ever tell this girl no. That is a mistake. I've learned that 31 years ago. Don't ever say she can't do something. I just stay out of the way. Okay. And so, because what you're doing, Mr. PIO and Sheriff Nanos, she'll show up at your country club. I guarantee it at some point, and you will have no idea. Okay. So you better watch your P's and Q's in terms of do the right thing, because you're a public servant and you need to do that. Okay. Give them the runaround. And from your perspective, because I'm not engaged in that.
I reached out, and again, the directed patrol is really what I would call what used to be called community-oriented policing. It's cops on the street getting intel to help solve all the crimes going on. I reached out and I said, look, we understand your directed patrols were in every district in the county. Now there's one centralized directed patrol. When did Sheriff Nanos make those changes, and what was his thinking behind it?
Simple question.
Simple question. That was on Monday. I get back. I will forward your request for comment. Okay. All right. Nothing happens. I don't hear back from him. Next day, I'm working to get answers to your questions. We just need some time. I was like, well, okay, it's not an in-depth, give me all your stats from 20 years ago. Okay, so then he says, I said, I'm checking to see if you have an answer. He says, I will check on your request and be in touch. Again, pushing, ignoring the request, not following up, not getting the answers. And I can't even imagine what local media has to go through trying to get anything from them.
And mind you, she's already talked to the friends, got hung up on by them after a conversation. We've already gone by the house. There's a lot, and she's not finding any flyers. Okay. And I'm like, okay, well, she's a firecracker that all you're doing is lighting her up. So keep going.
All right. So a couple of days go by, and I reach out again, and he emails back, we haven't forgotten about your request. I'll check on it. The fact that a public information officer who's in charge of his own office is handcuffed by the sheriff, he can't even respond to a basic media question, is outrageous. Again, more for the people of Pima County than for us out here. Anyway, he goes on. Okay, so finally I get an answer. And here's the answer.
How many days later?
2 days later, almost 3. 2 days later, thank you for reaching out regarding our directed patrol unit. The Pima County Sheriff's Department is responsible for providing law enforcement services across a large and diverse geographic area. As operational needs evolve, the department may allocate personnel and resources to different areas of the county to best address community needs and public safety priorities. That's the case with this unit. At this time, we have no additional information to share with you regarding this matter.
Yes.
Didn't answer the question.
So how much dressing do we put on that word salad? Exactly.
Now, again, we're not whining about not getting the information.
Nope.
Our concern is is for overall the community. The community of Tucson, Pima County, is not being served by these people. If we can't get basic information on something basic, directed patrol, if they're just trying to push us off, not answer the question, it's ridiculous. That's the stuff that you come back and you say, as a PIO, public information officer, here's the information on our directed patrol. And then I'm surprised they didn't even use it to say we've had great success. We've lowered the crime rate throughout our county, yada, yada, yada. It's every single exchange should be an opportunity for them to do some marketing, if you will, right? Tell us your wins. Tell us how the people of Pima County are being served, wonderfully. They don't do that. And so again, it's unprofessional, and it's kind of part and parcel to everything that we've seen these past 5 months under Sheriff Nanos.
That's some serious cuteness. He's going to start talking. Listen,
he's going to start barking.
Listen, everybody, he's trying to talk to me here for a second.
He always does this when we're both on live.
We absolutely love this Jack Russell, if you can't tell.
He's our baby.
He's a meatloaf. Okay, so here we are now. You're stonewalling, and you still don't have the answer other than just, we've allocated things. So then she followed up with, well, okay, fine. Well, how many people were actually in the unit initially, and then what did you do with them? The reason he won't answer this, because we already know the reason. We already know the answer. He dismantled the teams.
And that's one of the dismantling that we have heard about from the rank and file.
Yep.
We know he dismantled the homicide unit.
Yep.
And punished people by reassigning them to, lower, lesser areas.
Pay attention, Board of Supervisors in Pima County. You have a sheriff who has an 84-year-old woman who has vanished out of her house. And here's the key word. She's not in her house anymore. She's out somewhere. She could be in Tucson. She could be in anywhere. Okay. And you have no directed enforcement to hit the streets and start talking to the streets about possibilities and if anybody's seen, heard, or done anything. They're waiting. I told Ashley Banfield this morning, they're waiting for Santa Claus, to come, and this is, you've heard me say this before on other cases where you can't wait for the Easter Bunny. You got to go out there and you've got to find the chickens, and they're going to lay the eggs. Okay. You just can't wait for the Easter Bunny to show up and put them in your basket. You've got to go out there and do it. Now, here's the good news. Tucson Police Department still has enforcement teams. They are called the Bravo teams. Those Bravo teams can still come out and, kick the dust up. But we just read you the text message, the email from Tucson, who said, hang on for a minute. Let me get back over here real fast.
They said they haven't been contacted by the Pima County Sheriff's Department regarding
right there on the right. It says
Esteban Park patrols for the Nancy Guthrie case.
And then they got back to us like
right away,
lickety split.
Right away.
Okay, so here, they have not asked us for help regarding this. So now do the math on that.
And it's their jurisdiction. So this Esteban Park, what we're talking about, if you haven't seen our previous video on this, please go back and watch it after this one. We go in depth about the park, the proximity. It is, first of all, there's homeless encampments, rampant drugs, rampant crime. It is on the same block as where Nancy Guthrie's daughter, Annie, has her shop out of this nonprofit that she has been supporting for quite a while. And so Chris and I have raised the question on this channel, could there possibly have been a nexus between the perpetrator who took Nancy and Annie? Did the perpetrator know about Nancy through Annie without her knowledge? What's a better way to say that?
Yeah, that's a valid question. Would you guys, agree that, what if the suspect, what if it wasn't, and again, this is why I say there are 3 women connected to that residence and that family. They grew up there for 50 years. They've lived there. Mom has lived there. You just have to eliminate the possibility that why did they not pick Annie and why did they not pick Savannah, but they picked her mom? Okay? You have to kind of come to an understanding of that. Okay? And so it was it's not rocket science. It was a simple process to go down there and start asking questions and start looking for, to eliminate it. And, to this point, Orange, when we were down there, that sign was up there already. And we asked the street people down there, hey, tell me about the organization here. And they were like, well, they just give us water and a charging station now. They really don't do a lot of things for the folks around that area right now, but they still have events. Okay. So that place is still open. And you guys can go see that again on the other video that we just did the other night. So that piqued our curiosity then of, okay, what's the other piece of the puzzle that we're missing here? Let's go down and start looking at why cars would have been impounded. What does that look like? And so we did. We went down to the evidence facility. And my question was, how does a car go from the neighborhood of Nancy Guthrie to this impound yard, which is the law enforcement evidence facility? You can read the sign right there on the right, property and evidence. It's all connected. It's secured. But if you'll notice in the upper left-hand corner, there are 2 sliding or 2 garage doors. Well, that's where they process high-value vehicles, meaning the type of car that potentially, if they felt could have been involved in this, that's where they would process it. And that picture to the left, you can't really see it well enough here, but basically it's got 2 pieces of do not enter crime scene tape on it with a big sticker, meaning they have a car in there that is involved in a high-profile case. Okay. However, we wanted to know, well, wait a minute. There was one car that belonged to the family, Nancy's, that was impounded, and it's sitting out there still. And then there was a second car that was also impounded, torn apart, and sent to this dealership for repair. So I wanted to go down that lane because I know what it takes to impound a car for over 40 days. So I'm going to walk you through some things. And also Detective Buddy was on the case. I just wanted to bring you to the reality of what happens when a car is towed in a law enforcement investigation. Now, everybody knows that many cars were towed in this case. Okay? Well, there are storage facilities right down the end of this road, and we'll show you that here in a second, that those cars are then brought in and put into those storage facilities. So Buddy's on the case. And while the sheriff is in there in his little building, Buddy is sniffing him out because he's into it. All right. So we're going to go down. Buddy said, go down to where they tow the cars. Okay. So this is a similar situation where actually it's the same company where they towed family cars and they brought them right to this particular facility. You can see them coming in with another vehicle.
Again, again, we don't know what case this.
Yeah, we don't know what case
the
this is.
video, what you're looking at, we have no idea what that car is about. But when we were there filming, they were bringing in a car and impounding it in the sheriff's department lot.
Right. And Deputy Buddy said, okay, I'm good to go. Put an evidence number on it, put it on the evidence list, and put it into the evidence facility. All right. Now, all those processes had to take place. Now, if you want to search these cars, any one of them out there in that facility, let's say in, the yard out there, okay, in this yard to the right, if you want to search any of those cars and you don't have a consent to do that, you have to go to a judge. And that means you have to go to a magistrate and say, Your Honor, this is the reason why we want to search that car. And you have to give what they call probable cause through a statement of affidavit. And usually it's the case agent or the number one guy in charge of the case overall. And right now this is being worked, remember, as a homicide case. So it's still under the jurisdiction of the Pima County Sheriff's Department. Okay? Even though they're housed right now, a task force over at, the FBI facility, it is still tip of the spear as a homicide. And now we know, as of the last couple of days, they knew based on a note that they may have felt was real that she was deceased. So they operated from that moment forward as a homicide. And now when you go back and you watch those press conferences with Nanos, and he's kind of doing the curly shuffle, you notice he hasn't answered any questions about how the family cars got to this evidence facility. I have always felt that's very suspicious. I felt it's very wrong in terms of, look, there's something we just don't know. And I understand that in an investigation. Okay. However, you also then have to ask yourself, okay, why is it even there in the first place? Because there is a lot of work, and you can now see that one garage door over there, okay, that it has a seal on it. Okay. So there are cars out there. They're being held. Guess what? You didn't have to return it back to the family.
You mean they could have kept it?
They could have kept it because it's an item of evidence. It's sitting there. So I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute. Something changed pretty rapidly here in this investigation. And
hey everybody, how are you? Hey, so I want to bring you to the area where one of the cars was taken. Actually, it was one of the family cars was taken after it was released temporarily from the sheriff's department.
Okay, what do I mean by that? In order to release it from evidence, there has to be a proper chain of custody. Meaning, somebody had to sign off, probably a detective, that car is leaving the evidence facility because it is an evidence number. Okay, an evidence number. And that car went from that tow yard to this
to repair it. And if you'll notice behind me at this dealership, there is a collision center. And so that collision center, let me turn this around, is right there.
So I wanted to know if Donuts had an impact on, is there a political play here? And is it bigger than what we're realizing because of the celebrity status of the victim's mother? I call Savannah a victim. Or excuse me, the celebrity status of the victim's daughter. And I wanted to know if, in fact, if anybody just brought a box of donuts down there, they could get the same results as other people. Now, here's a really cool thing. We asked Rachel Glass's mom, have you gotten a phone call from Senator Kelly?
Let me interject. People don't know what you're talking about. So there's a homicide victim. Her name is Nicole Glass. She was killed a number of years ago. Her mom, Rachel, is in Phoenix. Her mom has been fighting for, I think, 16 years for her daughter's case. And she's just asking Phoenix PD to test DNA to try to find the suspect, the person who killed her daughter.
Okay. So if you think about that, we asked her, we had her on the show. She talked about her daughter's homicide. It's a triple homicide, by the way. They have DNA and they've not tested it, like Karen just said. Well, lo and behold, somebody from Donut's office here in DC, after our program, calls this woman who's been looking for 16 years to get something done. So I'm thinking, okay, it takes a box of donuts to get something moving. All right. Now, in this case, this is why it was so important for us to go there and see the community dynamics and realize as we were, getting out of this thing, oh my gosh, she's gone invisible into this community. Okay? So I went out and I started kicking up the dust, anticipating that politicians do not like it when people do that. They don't like it. So what you need to do in that area as citizens on behalf of Nancy Guthrie is you need to start making phone calls to the Board of Supervisors, to your politicians down there, and you need to say, look, we're not seeing what we should be seeing here. There is an exclusive network of media people that are getting exclusive interviews. They can come watch, our channel here to learn about that. The house that had Nancy's memorial is now sitting in front of KVOA. How did that happen? How did that happen?
Yeah. I mean, we're asking the question, how and why?
Yeah.
Why? Why did they take away the memorial in front of Nancy's house? I get it that the neighbors don't want any more trucks and media hanging out there, but why take the whole memorial away? Why not have any flyers up throughout the whole community?
Yeah, why not a picture of the perpetrator into the community outside of just the FBI director releasing it on Twitter, forcing the sheriff's hand to do something?
And Chris, isn't that the best piece of evidence we have right now?
Absolutely.
In this case, video of Porch Guy. That video of the guy who showed up at Nancy's door in the middle of the night and took this sweet 84-year-old grandmother out of her bed with barefoot and into the night.
Yeah, and you have on one side of the coin, you have one family member who, is suffering, grieving, and you can see it in her, in Savannah. I can't imagine, what she deals with on a day-to-day basis. But then the other side of the coin is you have her mother's friends who are saying, what was the quote? And
I'm
I'll
done
quote,
talking about Nancy.
Yeah. I've had my last interview about Nancy, but I'm glad that you have a heart for keeping it in the public eye. This is
What does that mean?
This is one of the ladies that called and to report her to the family that she's missing. And now she says, I've had my last interview about Nancy.
Why is everybody from the top down not talking about this, not continuing to talk about this and Nancy? I understand people don't want to talk about the investigation. We're not going to get information. The law enforcement's doing their work on it. I understand that. But why not keep Nancy's name out in the public? And to have such an incredible piece of evidence, porch guy, video of the porch guy, and not to be using that, not to be making flyers, taking this into the community. Honestly, before we got to Tucson, I just sort of thought there was going to be a flyer on every single door in every public area, shops, restaurants, whatnot.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can hear this very well, but Karen is like, towards the end of the conversation, she's like, well, can I talk to you more about her, et cetera, et cetera? And listen.
Okay, well, would you be willing just to talk to me a little bit about her?
No, I've done my last interview about Nancy, so, but I'm glad that you have a heart for keeping it in the public eye.
Okay, there you go. You heard it. That is one of the reporting parties that said Nancy Guthrie has disappeared, and she's like, no. I have done my last interview about Nancy. So I'm glad that you have a heart for keeping her in the public eye.
My question is why?
My question is why. And then she hung up right after that.
Okay, well, can I try you back? And she hung up. All right.
She hung up. Karen's like, can I call you back? Boom. She hangs up. You heard it first here on the interview room. You heard it first here on the interview room. And that is an investigative journalist. That's what she does. And I think that the sheriff has underestimated you and us.
I don't think the sheriff really cares.
No,
honestly, he absolutely doesn't. But we care about Nancy. We care about the case. Like you, we want to know more, and we're not letting go.
Yeah, we are in this to help law enforcement authorities find Nancy Guthrie and bring a resolution of peace to the family. That's what we're doing. And so the great thing about YouTube, it's taken this journalist and given her a platform now without any media control other than what she wants to do about it. And what I want to do about it between the two of us and our skill sets is help these families. Because here's the reality right now. The reality is Nancy Guthrie is no longer in that home. And the suspect in this case has taken her out of that home somewhere. If it's in the desert, if it's in Mexico, we don't know where she is. We have information based on some of the information that's being reported now that she was probably deceased. That means you have a body somewhere. The body needs to be recovered. And it is much easier to try to identify cars than it is to find a body. So as you're out there, not only talking about Nancy and the perpetrator in terms of the flyers and maybe you're circulating your own situation out there. YouTube can be a very powerful tool if it's utilized correctly without breaking the law in any way, shape, or form. You have to maintain a professional standard while you're out there. You just can't do stupid stuff. So if you're going to parks or you're doing all that stuff, please go there during the day because you don't know what you're running into. And let the law enforcement authorities, if you find something, hear something, know something, let law enforcement handle it. But you can be a conduit to that. Okay? That's, community activism is not a bad thing, but don't be an activist. Okay? Don't tip over the apple cart. Be in conjunction with law enforcement. Go to the Bravo teams and say, look, what can I do to help? It's almost like the Cajun Navy that showed up and said, Sheriff, what can we do to help? Okay. Well, I'm talking to some of my sources who have told me there may be some areas that need searching. Okay. So maybe I can coordinate with some of those folks and get inside intel, and then maybe we can direct, some folks over there. How do we know that could work? Just look at Mary, Chris, and Richard in the Maya Meliete case. She's been searching for her daughter or her sister for over 2 years. Okay. And now that suspect, that's the brother-in-law, her brother-in-law, is in custody for killing his wife and her sister. They are in trial right now in San Diego. Well, guess what? Karen and I went down there and we watched them every single day. There were 40, 50 on the weekends. 40, 50 searchers would show up and they would
all volunteer people from the community.
And they said, okay, we're going to go over here now. Okay. Just great people, amazing people. And so I liaisoned with the law enforcement agency, Chula Vista Police Department. The chief was amazing. She's like, yeah, sure, of course. Would you help us help them? And I said, absolutely. What do we need to do? And lo and behold, the families are talking to the law enforcement. And guess what? Great things are happening. The suspect's on trial for murder. And all the other stuff is coming in. And now that friction went to cooperation. And everybody had a role. They're not disturbing or hurting anything. So maybe there's a role here for not only the streamers, not only the great people on YouTube and others, the professionals. Maybe there can be some synergism here on behalf of Nancy. Okay? And that can happen. Trust me. Another one is Frances. Remember Frances and her son in Jackson, Tennessee. She searched on the weekends for her son for over almost 2.5 years. And
that case is so heartbreaking too.
We had her on our show here. You can see those cases, on our early podcast way back when. And we told her, we went to Jackson, Tennessee, and we told Frances, we said, look, you need to start looking for the car. Don't look for, and I know this sounds crazy, but we were trying to help her understand that it's much easier to find a car. One day we get a text message. She's crying. They found the car. And her son was deceased inside the car. He too had been the victim of a homicide. Now that car turned into a murder trial and they had the suspect in custody. That can happen in this case, I believe. If you get the right people who know what they're doing, i.e. search volunteers, from maybe their nonprofit organizations like the Cajun Navy. I don't know. This sounds like they're all military, former law enforcement. Okay. They can work in conjunction with one person assigned from the search and rescue team from the Pima County Sheriff's Office. And they can go out to geographic regions and say, okay, let's canvass this area here. Okay. We may have some things out here. Let's go. And trust me, it could happen. It could happen. And that may be the break that they're looking for. Because what if this DNA comes back a goose egg? Where's the investigation go at that point? You haven't gone out and kicked the streets yet. You're not talking to the people that would know who that potential guy could be or who she's, could be out there. Have they gone to like places where there's public Wi-Fi to see anybody that was sitting in there, maybe, writing emails, maybe ransom notes, these kind of things while pulling it off the public Wi-Fi? Those are the kind of creative ideas that can still be had in this investigation, I believe. Okay. Now, we've got a lot more that we'll put together for another program, but do you have anything else, hon? Do you have any other notes here that you want to cover? And then we'll go over
I think
what people are thinking.
we've hit most of them. Let's take some questions if we have some.
Okay. And thank you, everybody, for being with us. There's a lot of comments versus questions, and we'll hit all of these.
Well, we want to thank people. If you've super chatted us, thank you so much. Kev says, what would you have done if you would have run into A?
How are you doing? You want to talk? That's it. No big deal. Why is no nads untouchable? That's a great question.
It's a great question.
We haven't figured that piece of the puzzle out yet, but we're headed that way. Trust me.
I see a number of new members, so we want to thank you guys. If you're just becoming a new member of TIR, welcome.
There's a lot of comments here, so let me go through these. You want to thank everybody?
Sure. Thank you, Laura, for becoming a new YouTube member. Magdalena, thank you. JB, BJ, sorry. Lori. Best Coast, thank you for gifting a TIR membership. We certainly appreciate it. Sherry Flores, thank you so much for gifting 20 TIR memberships to folks in chat. Thank you. I think is that Libby?
Yeah.
Libby?
I think.
Libby.
Yeah. Libby Katz, 1.
Thank you for being a member with us.
Yep.
Joanne, thank you for becoming a member.
And we appreciate your patience,
Sandy.
guys, because this is what we do towards the end of the program. We don't like to disrupt people watching. We think that's rude. But go ahead.
Christy, she says, thank you for showing Nick support while he was out hitting the park today.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was a rock star. He was asking the right questions. Hey, we're looking for this guy. He may be involved in a missing 84-year-old woman. Have you heard anything? Have you seen anything? And he's showing and giving cigarettes, water, and the flyer. Now think about that. There were some people that were coming up and going, oh yeah, I've heard about that. Well, now the word's getting around. The word's getting around. And guess what? That's a streamer doing that. See how much power that is? That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
Thank you, Southern Mary, for becoming a member. New Jersey Elaine, thank you for your continued support. Susie Q, thank you. Livestock, awesome. We're grateful you're a member. Silk Sun, thank you for becoming a member.
Silk Sun.
Lori, sadly, they were told that it's illegal to hang flyers, which is unbelievable considering this case. You'd think they would let them hang flyers.
Yeah, well, then just pass them out. Don't hang them. Just pass them out.
Domsey says, let me go back to that one.
Whoops.
I think she said it was just YouTubers looking for Nancy. No one but YouTubers.
I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, we hope we're wrong.
Yeah.
Alpha Wolf says, thank you for gifting a TAR membership.
Much love. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela.
I have questions too, and thank you so much for being with us.
Marnie says, I wonder if someone that knew A from the collective shop then saw her on the homecoming show with S made the connection with Nancy.
That is a great point. And that kind of concept is what we're also asking. We're asking.
to be followed up and investigated.
Yeah.
Ask the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to know that.
Thank you, Charlotte.
She's the boss of the operation.
Thank you. Denai. We appreciate you.
You can tell.
Thank you, Renee.
You know, her beauty is in the inside. Her exterior is just a bonus. I've been telling her that from day one, the day I met her.
He's so sweet and thoughtful. Love it. Lizzie, Chris, do you think there's a connection between the guy from LA and TMZ Note?
That's a great question.
That is a great question.
We talked about that very early, actually within a week or so after Nancy went missing, right after that guy was hooked up. I was the first one on YouTube that went and grabbed the affidavit of arrest. And when I read it, I was like, wait a minute, there's something missing here. And then I brought it to the panel, and we had Dr. Picotto, Bob, John, myself, and you can go back and watch the episode. And we all came up to with this almost the same conclusion. Wait a minute, there's something we're not seeing or smelling here correctly. Something is here. That was creative writing 101 from the feds when they hooked him up. And the fact that they got him out of the play so quickly, he could or could not be involved. However, the fact that they extradited him from California to Arizona, I said that was crazy in of itself. There's something more, I don't know, something in River City just doesn't smell right from my position.
Thank you, Susie. Was there a previous comment?
Oh, I missed it. I just deleted it. I'm sorry. What, did I miss it?
Yeah, I was trying to remember what it said.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Goodness, we're so sorry.
It's my fault.
Thank you, Courtney, for becoming a member. Bama Girl.
Bama Girl.
Thank you. Ella Blue. Thank you. Heidi. Thank you for becoming a member. Kelly, have you seen the report that says Savannah is the one that called the police on the YouTuber?
Yeah, I've seen that. We don't know about that.
We don't have any way to verify that.
We don't have any way to verify it. But if it's pulled from, the public records, and which was another thing, you went into public records for the 911 calls and stuff like that. Tell the audience what they said.
It's the response that all media has gotten requesting the 911 call.
You're on the list.
Well, they're not releasing it. We'll let you know when we're going to release it. And there's a long list.
Yeah, we'll let you know when the space shuttle lands. Go ahead.
Something like that.
Bless you both.
Al, I was trying to read that name. We'll just say Al. Thank you. Thank you, Al. It is very heartbreaking. DJ, like a Harry Potter film, he who shall not be named. Yeah. Stat says, I've put more effort into finding my lost wallet than this community and family has for Nancy.
Okay.
Thank you, Nina Drew.
Nana Drew.
Mo Smith, thank you for becoming a YouTube member.
Friends that hurt my soul. This hurts my soul. Yeah. We agree.
Libby says, what's the attorney general doing about this? Is she told to shut up too? Interview her. Isn't she above nonads? Are Nanos' friends threatened by sheriffs?
Which is another great conversation. Tell them about the DA.
The Pima County attorney. Oh yeah. You know what? We're gonna have to
We'll
pull
do
that up
on the
for
next show.
For the next show.
Okay.
I don't have it pulled up, but the Pima County attorney, she was in some pretty good hot water.
You're not going to believe
2
this.
years ago, and she was, I believe, if it's not sanctioned, it was trying to find the right word. But anyway, the Arizona Bar Association came down on her for ethics.
Now, before we go, right, hang on. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I may interrupt.
No, it's okay.
Understand something. The sheriff was fired from a law enforcement agency in Texas, El Paso, Texas. Rather than go to jail, they offered him an opportunity to resign. He took it. You guys ended up with him in Pima County. The undersheriff, his guy, was also fired for, go ahead.
Just a correction. I don't believe he's the undersheriff. I think he's in charge of the criminal
the
investigations
CID
unit.
director.
The CID. Yeah.
The guy in charge of the detectives who are running this operation.
The Nancy Guthrie investigation.
The Nancy Guthrie investigation. Okay. This guy was also almost indicted. Okay. And he,
as a police officer, as a sheriff's deputy.
right. And
right.
we did a show on this. And so we thought, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
And we're told he's never worked a murder. So, but he's just overseeing the detectives who have worked a murder. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's follow the bouncing ball. The top guy, problematic, almost indicted. The second guy, same scenario. This guy,
well, he lost his job, but then he got it back.
yeah, he got it back, but he changed his name.
He changed his last name and came back a couple of years later
And came back
to
right.
Pima County Sheriff's Department.
Now, and we were thinking, oh, it can't get any worse than this. But it does.
Well, the Pima County attorney, so she's the prosecutor in Pima County. Apparently, she was I believe she was a defense attorney, never worked a murder as a prosecutor. I don't know if she's defended.
She was a defense attorney.
She was a defense attorney. Okay. So she won election as the Pima County attorney. And then I know for sure 2 years ago, she got in trouble. Somebody under her in her office, in the county attorney's office, filed a complaint with the Arizona Bar Association. They looked into it, and I believe she got sanctioned. I will come back with the article, the news articles, and we will talk about it on a show.
Karen.
So I'll give you the details. I can't remember all of them. And then in her statement following that, she did not admit guilt. So it's kind of interesting. And, you know, for people who are new in Tucson, they may have no idea that she was under fire for ethics complaints. Now, again, we're not saying anything criminal because it was the Bar Association. So, you know, it's going to be the professional ethics related. But it still gives one pause about who's going to be bringing the prosecution in this case and for the Nancy Guthrie murder investigation.
Yeah. So hopefully they have, and I'm sure they do, they have experienced DAs that
would handle the case,
that have handled some pretty
Yeah.
extensive, you know, court situations, because this is going to be a doozy. Okay.
But back to the question we had, we were told that the state AG's office is looking into or has opened an investigation on Nanos. So we believe that's going on right now or looking into it. And of course, we're going to be following that and would bring you any updates when we hear about it.
So you have the sheriff, the head of CID, and the DA. All three of them have gone to higher powers and told, well, there's problems here in River City. Maybe that's why he doesn't want to solve it potentially and has redirected certain things, because our sources also tell us he is calling the shots. At first, I heard it's him, the undersheriff, and the CID guy. Okay. And everything comes back from their guys on the task force back through the sheriff. If the sheriff likes it, he says go. If he doesn't, he says no. Okay. That's from the boots on the ground. And they are very frustrated about that. And so now when you think about that and you have an officer who gets a phone call to go out in front of the Guthrie home, and being ordered, not being asked, but being ordered, you're going to go out there and make arrest. And that officer pushes back and says, no, I'm not. That's different.
Because
realm.
he believed it was an unlawful arrest.
Well, guess what that officer did? He put it in his police report that somebody had ordered him to do it. Okay. This is what these deputies are under. It is wrong because the top is pushing down. And if something happens to these deputies on the ground, which we just saw, one of them, they had a tussle going on. Okay. And we talked about that in a different situation. And, that guy knows, okay, not a bad guy, by the way. Okay. There was this tussle, and now the sheriff is in a situation where he's got to put his name on a police report. And it goes to this DA now, this county DA. And this DA had better do her job and weigh the law against what happened. Because one of the deputies went out there and told the guy, look, you're not doing anything wrong. It's on video. You're not doing anything wrong, but I've been ordered, to do this. He tells the streamer, I feel bad about this, but I'm getting pressure from the top to do this. And that's what I was talking about. That is so wrong. I can't even see straight. Okay?
It's infuriating.
It's just crazy.
Well, and it's going to all come back to bite Sheriff Nanos.
It will.
You cannot do that. You cannot illegally arrest people.
It will. And yeah.
Especially when everything's on video today.
And a story on that piece of the puzzle, because a good attorney is going to, subpoena their body camera. And the DA is going to look at it and go, let me get this right. You told the guy before you arrested him, you're being ordered to do this? Yes, ma'am. I'm not filing this case. You can forget it. A jury will never convict you, i.e. the person. So don't plead. Take it to a jury, no matter what.
True Crime says one of their own wouldn't be the least bit surprised something's being covered up and has been since the search was called off day 2. That has always been a really intriguing piece of this. I know Savannah recently said, we'll never stop searching for our mom. So why not? Again, we've asked this so many times here. Why not search? Why not let the Cajun Navy come in, or anybody else, or the volunteers in Pima County? There's so many different things. We've already talked about this. Why not search for Nancy?
Yeah. And why is her friend saying, I've talked enough about her, and what I want to quote it. No, I've had my last interview about Nancy. Wow.
Wow.
Thank you, True Crime.
Thank you, Nub. Thank you, Lois, for becoming a member.
Lois Lane.
Linnea, thank you. Copper Girl, thank you.
Inspect the deck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Check email. Porch Guy identified. We get thousands of emails. In full transparency, sometimes it's hard to get to all of them, but thank you.
Glinda says, is it possible that someone from the family did this and Nanos colluded with NBC, local and national, to cover it up? This could be to protect S and her career. I don't buy that type of situation.
Yeah, I don't see Nanos participating in the depth of that.
I don't. I mean, he's pretty transparent. If it's going to make him look good in his brain, I think he's going to do it. The ego is huge.
Yeah, I think he went through this situation and didn't realize how big it was and thought he was going to, fix this thing in a couple of days and, yada, yada. And then it blew up on him. And he didn't help himself by getting out at the podium and not setting up a scheduled press conference for the media, bring all the media back to the station, not in front of her house.
He did everything wrong at every
Totally.
single press conference that he had.
Yeah.
He's an instruction on what not to do.
Yeah. The card about the Adult Protective Service, there is a paper trail about why that card was out there. And I'm sure they're going to answer that question for us. In my opinion, Savannah told them not to talk to the media. The memorial is S. The neighborhood, Gladys Kravitz, Wicked Witch of the West. Everyone is terrified of Savannah's family. Well,
thank you, Kelly.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Al. I don't know how to say that whole name. Sharon, thank you for gifting a TAR membership. Beacon of Hope. Isn't it unusual the family, especially local, that makes sure the public does not forget and wants to keep looking and encouraging others for help? No flyers, no searches. Baffling, especially AG.
Yes, especially.
Yes. Flicker says the family ordered the memorial to be removed per a call with Pima Sheriff. Made as a Pima County resident, or I made as a Pima County resident and artist who painted the painting of Nancy. Call recorded.
Okay.
Thank you. True Bayou.
Mark the Shark family. Love it.
Christine says, hey, friends don't want to talk about Nancy or her friends don't want to talk about Nancy or the case because they already know everything. I believe everyone already knows who did it and they don't want to jeopardize anything.
Okay.
Cali girl, do you think that someone has put an unofficial gag order on people who were interviewed by the sheriff FBI? No, Nance. He seems to rule by intimidation.
That certainly could be a possibility. That does not help Nancy, though, to do that.
Let's ask Chris, in all of your homicide investigations, and do you recall after you spoke with witnesses or family of the murder victim, telling and asking people, don't talk to the media?
No.
Ever.
You can't. You can't do that. If a family wants to pay, a Bitcoin ransom, if a family wants to talk to the media, anything like that, now we would encourage them. And that's where the family relationship dynamics come into play. And I find it ironic that Nonads does not even talk to the family anymore, according to the information, even from him.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't make sense. If you're not talking to the family, right?
Why aren't you talking to the family?
Well, there's that. But, I mean, none of this is really making sense. It's too many questions.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it doesn't make any sense that on one hand, you say, yeah, we need the public's help. And then behind the scenes, he's going, now you guys all shut up. Don't talk to anybody. That doesn't make any sense. And plus he can't do that. He couldn't do that.
Did you ask her friends what time they reported Nancy missing to the family?
They wouldn't. They
will not speak about it.
Yep. Which we thought was also interesting.
We did.
Yes, on that synergy. Ted Investigates. Good to see you, buddy. Love the show, Chris. Thanks for fighting for us. You're very welcome. Stay the course.
Have you heard the recorded phone call on X I had with Pima County Sheriff's Department about the family removing the memorial?
Not yet. We will. Now, we did also communicate with the Sheriff's Department and ask them about the memorial, and you got the answer.
Nobody has reported the crime of removing any of the things outside of Nancy Guthrie's house.
So basically,
what? That was the answer.
That was the answer.
That's what they responded to us with.
So they said, yeah, essentially, well, we don't have a crime that it was taken away. Which we were like, what the heck does that mean? Over? I don't know. Maybe I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed.
Baffling. Elizabeth says, have you ever seen an entire community silenced like this before? Thank you for keeping on this.
Have you?
I'm trying to think.
Not like this.
No, not like this. But there's always people willing to talk, especially when authorities aren't willing to talk. There's a friend, maybe a distant family member, somebody.
Yeah. It's somebody's going to say something, and you can't. And this is one of the reasons why I never wanted to see my cases, what we call above the fold.
In print media.
Yeah. And those of you who know Karen and our story, I didn't talk to her for a whole year because she was a journalist. And the next thing you know, if she got information, as you guys can see, just even from today, it was a bad deal. And I did not want my cases, in the paper the next day. But she saw something in me.
Chris always had all the big homicide cases, and we were in a very demanding media market, and we always wanted to beat the competition and get some new angle, new morsel of information. So I started calling him, and he would never call me back. And this went on for well over a year.
Delete.
And finally I complained to his lieutenant, and I said, could you please have Detective McDonough call me back? I have a job to do. So he tells the story that he was ordered by his commander to call me back and speak with me.
My boss came over to my desk and he asked me, do you know this journalist? And he told me her maiden name. I was like, yeah, she's a pain in my butt. She keeps leaving all these messages and I've been deleting them. He goes, for how long? I said, I don't know, maybe a year. He goes, what? Essentially, he goes, now she's bothering me. I'm ordering you to give her a phone call. I said, for what? He said, just do what I tell you. And I did.
He was ordered to call me.
And how did you think I was going to be?
Well, I thought, of course, he's going to be the biggest jerk because I ratted him out to call me back, just to call me. So he wasn't, which was very surprising and refreshing. And he turned out to be a really great guy.
I was okay. Until you told me I listen like your girlfriends.
Yeah. Well, that was much, much later, but yeah.
Okay. Let's keep moving. Thank you for saying what we all want to say. Thank you.
What if Nancy is hidden and they're protecting her from someone? Would they tell you?
If she's hidden? Sweet Wiccan goddess. What if Nancy is hidden and they are protecting her from someone? Would they tell you? That's really interesting, but it's been 5 months. Why would you do that to Savannah? That's a great question, though. But I would think Savannah would. You don't want to torture her like that to hide her mom. Go.
Rescue Me says there is something going on. PCSD has what is called Community Problems Unit that will openly take action at Nanos' direction to target those who call out corruption, such as the YouTubers. Nanos is a tiny piece. There is a culture of corruption.
Okay. Well, if that's happening, then we're documenting it right here. Hopefully that's not the case there, no Neds.
Thank you, Cap. Alicia, funny that Nancy's friend shut down when you asked about family. Is it possible Nancy talked to her friends about family issues and they've been threatened against talking about it?
It's possible. It's an interesting concept. We don't know. We don't have that answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Super sticker.
Thank you, Amy. Mystic Mom, thank you for being a member, becoming a YouTube member. Called Pima earlier today and was told that they're not on the case anymore. It's just FBI now.
Well, then that means they found a federal nexus, if that's the case.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, that would be...
I would question that.
That would be huge news.
Of Courtney says, help me understand this. Why would the family plea for the public's help, but then be upset about YouTubers, TAR, or anyone for that fact? This is the public. If this was my mom, I would be grateful. Courtney,
you.
that is part of what is so confounding about all of this.
Yep.
We're scratching our heads. Thank you, Classy Lass. She says, keep up the excellent work. Thank you for all these great shows. Thank you, Hamitude.
You hear the meatloaf below us.
Buddy's needing one of us. Michelle says, it would be great to have the YouTubers on your panel. It would be huge to let them tell their story. They've done so much for Nancy. Sorry, I'm not sure where my voice just went.
We'll consider looking into that for sure. We've got a lot moving here.
Thank you, Clarissa.
And you can hear the meatloaf underneath us, Chris. So yeah, we'll take care of him. Buddy
Thank
treats.
you, Jeremy. We appreciate it. NorCal SoGal says, the defund police budget cuts and left agenda the past few years is bananas. The community suffers as a result. Nanos is one of them, in my opinion.
Wow. Okay.
We already did that one.
Okay. Sorry. Hi, bud.
If anyone can expose Nanos, y'all can. Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Verde, for gifting TIR memberships. We appreciate that. Thank you, Dor. Thank you, Connie.
We're doing
for
good.
Becoming a member.
Making progress.
Cheryl, my community would show up to.
Whoops. My
Let's
bad.
start over. My community would show up to search daily and the elderly with casseroles. None of this makes sense. Have they been threatened?
That seems to be a theme in the questioning.
Yeah, that's what people are thinking.
And that's what people were when we're on the ground out there. They're like, there's no flyers, there's nothing. I mean, just the whole theme of tonight's, program. It just seems to be very consistent.
And if Pima County Sheriff Nanos is the leader, the message being sent to the community is
okay. Nothing
to see here.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Move along.
Don't talk about it. Don't discuss it. I mean, this is the messaging that they're trying to send. And that's outrageous. This is an unsolved case. They've asked for the public's help from the beginning. There's still a reward. There's no resolution. They still want tips from the public.
Yeah. Is it crazy to think Nanos may not want this solved because if it gets solved, all of their screw-ups come out at trial. If it does not get solved, he can say not even the FBI could solve it. Let's hope that's not the case for sure, but that is a very interesting comment.
Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you, Mark.
You got to see this knucklehead.
Flicker says, as a Pima County resident who is not a YouTuber, I have searched and handed out flyers and made those phone calls, but there aren't a lot of us.
Thank you,
Wow.
Flicker.
That is you shouldn't have to do it. It should be going on because the leadership of Pima County Sheriff's Department should be doing that.
Yeah, they probably have a senior volunteer program, and you get everybody in that senior volunteer program, or you get every officer program. You put them in the community service cars, and you say, "Go hit every single park down there. Tape these flyers up. We want information." And so the citizens should not have to be doing what the law enforcement agency is doing.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Thank you so much for all of your donations here as I'm going through these. Very kind. Do you think it will end up being a family member of Savannah? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. At this point, let's see here. How do you, Bam? Bam Bam.
Bam Bam says assisted SU.
Maybe. Probably not.
Maybe. Peggy says, if Nancy isn't a suspect, why is the ransom note only addressed to Savannah?
Great question.
Thank you, Barbie. Thank you, Jody, for gifting TIR memberships. We appreciate it. Arizona Man, I'm not sure where I read this, but a comment was made that the Hawthorne guy does know A&T and the FBI offered him a proffer.
Let's see. You know, as they say, buckle up. We're going to ludicrous speed. They say that in Spaceballs.
I know. That's one of your favorite movies,
I
isn't
love
it?
that movie.
We should clip that.
Rick Moranis.
I think it's Deborah. What do you think happened to all the videos that were collected from the neighbors near AG's house?
Hopefully they uploaded it into some of their systems. There's a good system called BriefCam.
Thank you, Anthony. Beacon of Hope. Thank you for your hearts for people. So grateful for you both. Be blessed.
Thank you. We're
Grateful
blessed.
for you. Thank you.
We are blessed. Good job, buddy.
Kimberly says, good job, buddy.
Yeah. Meatloaf.
Silk Sun says, the station Savannah worked printed flyers for YouTubers months ago that were passed out. Other followers sent money for flyer funds.
So are the NBC studios in New York printed flyers for people in Arizona?
No, I think she means this
KVOA.
KVOA, the station
Okay.
Savannah formerly worked at. You know, I would just say this, you have to keep it up. You can't just do flyers for a week or 2 weeks, especially as the case goes on into month 5, month 6. It has to be continually worked.
Yeah, I mean that, and they have the banner up in front of their place. So that's nice. Sincerely. APS card had wrong website address and wrong address. Was the card from the perp? What's the number 96 mean? Top left of the card. I don't know. I heard maybe that they went out there to cover the CYA after she had gone missing. I tagged you on X for the call I made, Chris. Okay, thank you, Flickr. Awesome.
Thank you, Chris. Great work, both of you. We appreciate that. Pacific says, why did Savannah wait so long to offer a family reward? What else should she or could she have done to help this case given her wealth?
I don't know. I think Savannah is and has and will continue to be under a tremendous amount of stress and tremendous amount of pressure. And at the time, they were also focusing on these notes that were coming in. And so she was navigating a tremendous amount of information. Thank you.
Libby, Nanos may have changed his name, but he has the same.
Social Security.
It wasn't Nanos who changed his name. It was his probably number 3 guy, the head of the criminal investigative division.
Yeah, we did a whole show on
at
it.
the sheriff's department. Well, we just want to be clear if people are not understanding that. Carmela must have good info to get a deal.
Maybe. I've said from the beginning, he made a 9-second phone call, but they never told anybody who that 9 seconds was.
Who it was to.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, DB Bentley. We appreciate it. Lil P says, okay, so all public officials are crooked. What about the family? Why aren't they looking for Nancy?
Let's see. We'll see how that unfolds. Thank you.
If there is proof of corruption, can we go the DOJ route?
You can go to DOJ for a civil rights division down there and ask for monitoring on the sheriff's department. They already had that before. Remember, the FBI did a whole investigation. That was one of the axes that Nanos wanted to grind with the FBI. They actually came in and did an investigation, and they did it on his number 2, who was, remember, taking money, or they thought there was an embezzlement and all this other stuff. He couldn't account for certain monies in budgets, et cetera. And that was one of the very first problems that we discovered, and why he pushed him off for 4 days. That is a true statement.
Yeah, we have that from the FBI director.
Yep, it's true. It actually happened. Buddy for sheriff. I agree with you. That man, he was that cute or what when he was sniffing out the sheriff there as he's driving by the PD?
Glogy says, tip to solve case, can't trust law enforcement.
Thank you, Gogly. We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Send it to our Proton email.
SG has YouTubers arrested and the same time asked for public help finding Nancy.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense if that's the case. That's for sure.
Thank you, Silk Sun.
We're almost there, hon. Only 37 more.
Discerning 8, Shalon, thank you.
And thank you, everybody. We only ask one thing, that you hit the subscribe button. We are so close to 300,000, and we've had almost 14,000 here tonight. If just 3,000 of you, if you're not subscribed, if you guys just hit it, that puts us over the top, and we would be eternally grateful for your kindness in that piece of the puzzle.
I hope you both will appear at court for Alex 857 and DAA Juice.
Yep, well, schedule permitting. I can't promise anything.
Yeah. Jody says, I think Nanos is covering for the family. I'm worried about the wrong people being arrested.
Interesting.
Yeah. I need Nancy's help. I'm positive she will be interested to be a part. Unsolved mysteries, regular crimes. If wrong, I will donate her choice notable funds. I don't know how to write her.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Real Journey. Thank you, Julie, for becoming a YouTube member. And Sharon, thank you. I think Chris's anomaly list just went from 50 to 200.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marnie.
Yeah, I still have that list.
Thank you, Cynthia, for gifting a membership. Ipswich Gal, thank you for taking the road trip, kicking up dirt, asking tough questions, and putting Buddy on the case.
Thank you for your kindness. You've
Thank
been
you.
with us for a very long time. We're grateful for you.
Lori, what about the business card that was left on the door from Adult Protective Services? Why would they come after she went missing?
Because there was probably some type of information in the in basket somewhere, and maybe a caseworker went, oh, crap. Or they got a phone call from one of the detectives on the case that said, hey, we've got an 84-year-old woman missing over here. We need you guys, to keep the radar up just in case she turns, she comes home and we're not here. Leave your card. Any of that could be a possibility.
Makes sense. Thank you, Anna, for becoming a YouTube member. Franny says, Savannah asks for help and info from the public. At the same time, get the YouTubers arrested, and no new Nano does nothing but lie.
Yeah, one of the most interesting pieces of this puzzle, remember on the very first, or one of the very first press conferences, he pulls his phone out and he says, I've got some talking points from the family. I got to make sure I follow the script.
Yeah, and then he followed it up saying, I'm not very good with scripts. What?
Yeah.
What? As the sheriff on a homicide investigation?
It was like,
you've got talking points from the family?
Yeah.
Who's running the show here?
Yeah.
Outrageous.
Where'd that lawyer come from?
Outrageous.
If my boss would have walked into my office and said, hey, I got talking points from the family, I'd say, so? Well, we're gonna use these. So no, we're not. We're gonna compromise the investigation. I don't want to hear anything from the family. I'll do it myself. And Karen knows. I trust me. I would ask John. He was my boss. I would push back on these guys left and right. But guess what? We solve crimes.
Peggy says, can the FBI override Nanos' orders to talk to the public?
No.
What's kind of funny is the FBI is known for never talking with the media. Anything public anyway. So, by default, you're never getting anything out of the FBI. Rich says, it was so nice meeting you both. at the meet and greet.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was great meeting you. Wish we could have stayed longer. Buddy's such a handsome boy. Chris, are you Irish?
I am Irish from the get-go on both sides. I got a little Scot from my mom.
Thank you, Peggy.
Oops.
Did we miss anybody's?
Yep, there's a couple more coming.
Okay. Hermana says, why is there a reward? And Savannah asking for help, but pushing help away.
Yeah, we've been asking the same question.
We have. Girl Mom says, you both are the mom and dad of YouTube where we are all safe.
Girl Mom.
We need to hear y'all's first date.
Yeah, what was our, I know where we went. We went out for lunch.
You know what? After Chris and I got to know each other, one day he asked me for lunch, to go out for lunch. And we have literally been together ever since.
Ever since.
Date.
Yep. And
thank you for asking.
Every single night I walk in and I see the angels and I go, holy cow, how did I get to heaven? And we've been together almost 31 years here. We've known each other. We've been together. So it's been amazing. Okay, here we go. I'm moving.
Saturday Moon says, thank you for all you're doing for Nancy.
She's bumping me under the table, FYI.
They can probably see that. Louis says, thank you for transparency, for keeping it going. We lost our mom the same day that Nancy went missing.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So sorry. This hits home. God bless, family. All love.
Wow.
T. Lynn says, Karen, you have a super brain and your eyes are beautiful, very kind. Your demeanor is superb. That's very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very sweet.
I agree.
Thank you, Wendy. We appreciate that. Minnie Panther says, do you think Nancy's friend is afraid of A&T?
It's a great question.
That's a good question.
Observation.
Yeah. Something. Why is everyone so sure that Nancy was not taken by someone who knew the family well?
Great question, Discerning 8, because the victim risk continuum points 100% towards a low risk victim. And so that means there has to be some type of contact point between the victim and the suspect. And that, I think, is primarily why people are leaning that way. So that's a great question, though. Great question.
Thank you, Katya.
And thank you for being here, everybody.
Yes, we're grateful. Skippy says, have you considered NBC Legal might be influencing anything in the case? Potential liability by pressuring their talent to bring family members on the show.
You work with those lawyers all the time.
Yeah. I mean, anything's possible. Who knows? Becky says, please check Exploring with Jim YouTube channel. He has searched extensively and with a grid map. He's been to Tucson 8 times at his expense.
Thank you.
Michelle says, I think they meant like witness protection that Savannah would know.
Yeah. They're not in witness protection, but yeah, you're right. The quote, pride comes before the fall. I believe you. Yep. Brings to mind Nanos. Unfortunately, it is Nancy's family he is taking down with him. Great point. We totally agree with you. Does Nonads get any financial benefit from this? No, other than he gets to stay into office and he gets to play, king for a day.
Yeah, power, right? Thank you, Sharon.
Yes, we've already answered that, but thank you for that question.
Thank you, Shelley, for becoming a YouTube member. Heather, whatever. How many Nanos do we have on that staff anyway?
Great question.
It's at the top with the leadership. It's not with the rank and file.
Yeah.
We always want to make that distinction clear.
Does anybody know the exact time S was notified by A, Eastern Standard Time, YouTube? Thank you for your work. I don't think we have that yet, but we know that the sheriff said the family was there around 11. It came out of his mouth. It didn't come out of anybody else. And everybody's made excuses to say, well, maybe he made a mistake. Really? That's a pretty dumb mistake, from him. Was the person at NG with the YouTube media? Thank you.
Thank you, Blue Angel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Not Nancy and Cindy.
Job 1222. Thank you. Y'all are the best.
Thank
Job
you.
1222. I'm going to read it.
Mars Day says,
Oops. Sorry.
why do you think Savannah's request for help is so broad if anyone knows anything?
Yeah, great question. Great question.
Thank you, Betty. I think she was still wanting to put it out there to say something.
We love Betty. That's awesome.
Enjoying everyday life now says, didn't Savannah seem scared to talk about her mom on the Today Show this week like she was interrupting the broadcast? Also, why did they turn down the Cajun Navy when she was pleading for help? You know, these are basic questions that are confounding everybody with this case. Maybe I'll just make one point. We don't have the video of Savannah when she said 2 days ago or whenever it was that, you know, again, NBC did the story on the ransom note. She's sitting there and she's like, I can't help. This is so unprecedented. I can't help but, you know, say something. And then she said something like, I mean, obviously this is emotionally extremely difficult. And she was like, I'll be better. Please remember something like that. It's not the exact words, but I was like, oh my gosh, who expects her to be done grieving this? Nobody, you know? And I just felt like to that question, it was almost like she isn't allowed to show the emotion on the set. That's kind of how it felt watching it. We feel really bad for her. I mean, it's awful. She doesn't have any answers. And she's out there publicly trying to do her job when this, and then there's a news story about all this, and it's emotionally excruciating watching her. You know, you just feel for her.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think she's just going through some crazy stuff up top.
Yeah.
Did Nanos initially say that Nancy may have walked off? Could that have come from A&T? Would love to know your thoughts on that. Love your channel. Thank you. Ro, remember, the only thing we have is a narrative from the reporting party. And the reporting party in this particular circumstance is Annie and Tommaso. They are the reporting parties. The gals, we just talked to one of them, called them, they called 911. Everything from that point forward, we have no independent witnesses outside the Uber driver that they interviewed. And everything from that point forward, the narratives, etc., has emanated from two people. That's it. If A&T done this, Savannah has now made herself an accessory. Probably not, because she was in New York. If anything is, you know, suspicious there. Love the blue. My comment was Spaceballs take. Exactly.
That's awesome.
I love Spaceballs. You know, ludicrous speed.
Thank you, Joyce, for gifting a TAR membership. We appreciate it.
We did it. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in here. We are so eternally grateful for each and every one of you. Again, if you would pass this around to all of your social media networks, we're this close to hitting that 300 mark. And man, that would be pretty cool, huh?
It would. Yeah, we're excited to get there. And we're grateful for all of you. And thank you for being here with us tonight. And we will see you on the next one.
Okay, continue to take care of each other. And as they say in Hawaii, biakamai, mean pay attention, and aloha. See you on the next one.
Hard working every day, I'm stressed out 24/7, babe. No timeouts, wish we could fly away. You and I go to our favorite place. Oh yeah, make special memories together. I'll we're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. Don't hesitate now. We're taking away. Yeah, we're taking away. We'll never come down. We're going away. Yeah, we're going away. You and me. Feeling the sun on my face in Hawaii.
Where did it go? The warmth and the smoke when we were standing in the parking lot. Your mother used to swear a lot. I got gum in my head, a crowd in my head, but you helped me filling in the blanks. Knew just where your mind was at, but guess whatever happens, happens. Now there's an awful lot of guessing. Say one thing we have in common. It's like my teeth just cannot stop it. I don't mind when suddenly comes small talk. Why the facade?
It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. Who gave me this courage? What torch lights my feet? It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. Who brings light to the morning? What flame lights my way home? It's always been you, Jesus. It's always been you, Emmanuel. I know I am love's son. Now I remember to see bright. It's always been